Jim, welcome.
Thank you, Dave. And I might point out that you're really right about the inflatable part to be able to control the pressure you're putting on. So, for example, if people have tried this using just, judo
Belt. Yeah.
kinds of reps, and they don't know from one time to another whether they've got it right. And too much can be potentially dangerous, and too little will be ineffective.
So we had a question on here from someone who said the bands didn't fit her. So she overlapped them. Is that all right to overlap?
It is perfectly all right to overlap.
So I'm doing my other arm now. And you can see it is just like a blood pressure cuff. I'm going up a little bit higher than I'm supposed to.
Yeah, so you've got
That's
those,
the problem.
Dave, you've got those big guns,
Yeah.
and so the band does not overlap on you, but it can go smaller, and let's see if I can.
So you could do it easily is the answer for that. And other people saying, can you use it when you're walking? The max is 20 minutes, right? But like your arm gets sore. It's really weird. And I'm just like flexing and pumping, right?
Yeah.
But I've noticed systemic changes, especially doing it on the legs. I do the legs and the arms on the Bulletproof Vibe, so I'm vibrating, and I do air squats, and like I'm dead. Just like you're sore. It's crazy.
Yeah. So here's one of our red bands, and it can go as small as this, where there's substantial overlap, where one side goes underneath the other side.
Yep.
That should take care of that young woman's question.
There's another question about broken blood vessels from it. I've never had any problem with that, but Justice Stephen Love is saying that.
Yeah, not really an issue. Sometimes little capillaries, that looks awesome. Sometimes little capillaries pop and there's a little bleeding.
Under the skin, obviously.
Yeah, or you just get a little red mark.
Yeah.
But
it's not like a permanent spider vein or anything like that.
No, it goes away quickly.
What's the longest you can do occlusion training and have it still work?
You mean how long can you keep the bands inflated?
Yeah.
Well, as you can attest, if you're doing some significant exercise, you can't have them on very long anyway, because you're just, kind of
blown out.
What we don't want to do is just have people sitting around not doing anything with them on.
Just on a couch.
Right. But for example, if, we have a recommendation of about 20 minutes for inflation band. So, you can go inflate your armbands for 20 minutes and do some exercises and then deflate them for a minute or so. And if you felt you haven't had enough, you can inflate them again and off you go. And, you can do that till the cows come.
Okay. I'm seeing people saying, what's this called? This is called the Be Strong Band. And what's your URL, Jim?
My URL.
b-strong.com.
Yes. Be Strong. B, the letter B, STRONG .training. TRANING.
Or just Be Strong. BSTRNG .training.
All right.
So if you guys go into your browser, it sounds weird. Just type Be Strong, just the letter B, strong .training, all in one word, and that works really, really well. And guys, this isn't just blood flow restriction training. There's lots of people who will sell you a belt with a buckle and say it does that, but it doesn't control the tension very well. What happens if you get it too tight, Jim? This is what we learned on the podcast, but people listening now haven't heard the podcast most likely.
Well, I mean, if you put it on, there's kind of a limit to how strong someone is kind of putting on a band in themselves. But the idea would be to put it on firmly so that there's good contact between the skin or the t-shirt or shorts and the band. And then you inflate it. And when you inflate our bands, they actually contract. So they add in a little compression when you're inflating them. And but that's okay. You could go up to the capacity of the pump, 500 millimeters of mercury, and still be fine.
So these things can't get too tight, but we do get too tight without that.
So
Um,
one of the things to reiterate is all serious complications with any kind of BFR training happen if you occlude the arteries leading into an extremity. And our product is designed so you can't do that. And so while, you know, you never say never, we've been unable to occlude arteries, which is actually a fundamental way of going about using many of these other devices. They go until they occlude, and then they back off from there. In our case, you just go to this kind of recommended pressure for the size band you have, and see if you get an effective session. See if you get a good feeling of fatigue. If you do, everything's great. If it's not as robust as you might like, you can increase the pressure a little bit. You know, let's say 50 millimeters of mercury. Like with the red bands, the recommended starting pressure is 200 on the pump, and that works for most people. But if it doesn't, you can go to 250 or 300, no problem. And usually, as people get into this, they want to go to a little higher pressure, and that's just perfectly fine and perfectly safe.
so if you guys want to know more, Bulletproof Radio episode 705 is where there's a full interview. You go to the daveasprey.com page, the podcast. You'll find that it's got pretty much all the questions you could think of. This is one of those things where throughout all of human history, what have we done? We pick up rocks or we run away from things or towards them with a spear. And that's the entire extent of our exercise. Maybe we go for a walk looking for roots or something. So what if you wanted to not spend so much time and energy doing it and have less chance of injury? This is one of several different types of technologies that have emerged in the last 10 or 20 years that let you get more stimulation with less effort or less risk. And so this is a fundamental thing. The category of blood flow restriction is relatively broad. There's several different ways of doing it. After looking at a whole bunch of different bands, I decided I want to do a podcast with Jim because he's a legend in the field, has done this for a long time. And because this doesn't cause pain like some of the original technologies. They really hurt. They're like super sharp. You're like, I'm just gonna like muscle through it. Sorry guys, we don't like to do stuff that hurts. No one really does. We will if we're convinced. But from then on, you look at this, no pain, less work than lifting a barbell or a kettlebell, and you still are getting the equivalent hormonal changes and muscle changes. So it's really, really cool. Darcy on there is putting up some links. And what you guys will find is you really notice a difference in, especially with squats. And there's a couple other questions. Yes, you can put on all 4 bands at the same time. That's what I do. So I have it on my upper legs, right. And then you put it on your upper arms, and then you do basically squats. So you do air squats, or hold 5-pound dumbbells. And it's kind of stupid, the results that happen from it. It doesn't even make sense. So I appreciate it. Yeah, holding plank with these, what would happen, Jim, if you held plank?
That'd be awesome. And there's a range of things from, double clap push-ups or one arm push-ups all the way to just holding a plank. And all of them are good. And it depends on what you're ready for. So a lot of times with women, they're really kind of afraid to try to do push-ups, but holding a plank is just great for them. And from there, they can go into kind of little mini push-ups where they're not really going down very low. And over time, get to be where they're doing regular push-ups and getting stronger.
Okay, cool. I find that almost anything I do, I've done crow pose wearing these, which is a little bit crazy. For me, I stand on the Bulletproof Vibe. This is something that Bulletproof makes that vibrates up and down 30 times a second. You put these on, you squat and just hold that pose, and oh my God, you feel it. Or I will do plank pose while vibrating. And you start out on 200 with your red bands, and then you go up 50 and then another 50 if you need more things.
Right.
Okay, talk about women, because it's a little bit mixing with stuff for women.
I love women. Um, yeah, this is great exercise for women, and often I hear that well, women are concerned about putting on a lot of muscle, and they don't want to look like some of the guys in the gym. But this won't do that for women. And what it'll do is it'll make you stronger, and it will get you a little leaner and more defined, which I think most people think is attractive. So it's very dependent on what your nutrition is with this. So um, the guys who really want to get big and put on a lot of muscle, they end up eating a lot more protein than usual. And for people who kind of more stay the same, they end up just eating a normal diet, or kind of the recommended protein intake of, let's say, a gram per kilo of body weight. And then the main effect that we see with everybody, both men and women, is that they get stronger, on the order of 10% in as little as 20 sessions, and they also get leaner, and also along the lines of 10% leaner or loss of
Wow.
in the same period of time.
So Kraft Kim, I love this question. It says, what about using them with doing the Doug McGuff 12-minute exercise? At the beginning of my blog, like going back 9 years ago, and I'm like, look, can we get this exercise thing out of the way? It's 20% of the problem. 80% of the problem is food. And I said, go to Doug McGuff. I interviewed him, and I recommended his exercises for years. So a 12-minute, to failure protocol, doing that with the bands on, yay or nay?
Yay. And
Exactly.
yay as a yes, and yay as a cheering on. You can do any exercise you want with the Be Strong bands on, and they really just amplify the benefit you're going to get from the session.
So
So
some new people just tuned in saying, what are we talking about? We're talking about this thing that lets you restrict blood flow. It's called the Be Strong. If you go to B as in the letter B, strong.training, that's all you have to enter, no.com. Enter that. You can use code upgrade full to save some money on this. But this lets you basically get exercise without having to have the weights on, and in a way that's much faster than normal. So I was just demoing how I'm doing this just on one arm, but it just makes a huge difference when you do it. So I'm almost up to 200. There we go. And you literally do stuff like this. It doesn't look that hard, but you do it and you get the exercise without the risk of injury and without the pain and even without sweating, but you're sore and then your muscles grow. And it's that straightforward.
yeah, one of the things is I have a friend in town in Park City by the name of Kathy Smith, and she's been heavily involved in a lot of exercise programs.
Oh, Kathy's a good friend. I love Kathy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, she definitely does not want to get big muscles, but she uses Be Strong and is a fan and does it regularly. And so the concerns women have about getting big is not really borne out by those that do it.
Yep. But although for guys who eat a lot of protein, it does seem to work. Well, Jim, I just wanted to have a quick Instagram live to answer a few questions, to show people, look, if you haven't heard the episode 705 Bulletproof Radio, there's a whole interview with Jim where we talk about this. This is a new category of getting muscle with less work, less time, less sweat, less risk of injury. So if you're sitting at home and you can't get one of those $500 set of barbells that get stolen off your porch in New York kind of things, you get these things and literally your body weight is more than you need, or a 5-pound book is all that you need. And you literally can put on muscle without the pain you associate with putting on muscle. So that's what I want you guys to know about. It's all about your time and your energy. Invest it wisely. You get a higher ROI from exercise when you restrict the right amount of blood flow in your arms and legs. So, hey, do that, you win. Where do you buy it from, Vanya? bestrong.training is the URL. That's actually a real URL. You don't need .com. Use code upgrade_full to save a little bit of money on that. And I just want you guys to know, this is cool tech. And this is kind of stuff I talk about on Bulletproof Radio. And if you did subscribe to the Dave Asprey box, daveaspreybox.com, you would have got this in the last box. And it was actually the highest value box ever, but you got $500 worth of stuff for $100. So that you might want to check out daveaspreybox.com as well. There's an example of what you find in there. But bestrong.training code upgradeful. See you guys later. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Dave.